and we had our people lined up. So this letter is a cover-up. Thank you for joining me on Esteemed Television, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Augustine Ambe. I have a very short video here which I want to make because of a document that somebody forwarded to me. And I want to thank the people who get some critical information and share it with me. I really appreciate that. It is through collaboration, sharing information, that we become knowledgeable about what's going on. And I want to tell you that because of that kind of sharing, because of what we've been able to do with our androids, because of what the kids on the ground and the fighters on the ground, the students on the ground have done with their androids, we have been able to tell our own story. We haven't allowed the French to tell our story, because one of the reasons why Gbagbo lost in Ivory Coast is because they did not take control of the narrative. They did not take control of telling their own story, and so the French, in collaboration with the international Western media, defined what the problem was in Ivory Coast. And they define it as Gbagbo clinging to power. Yeah, at that time you heard Gbagbo clinging to power. BBC, Gbagbo clinging to power. CNN, everybody. But we define the story, we define our own story in this Ambazonian case. And so the French have gone silent. They've gone silent. And we've done it through using Android. You know, I was talking to an African American friend of mine, and I said, you know, the death of George Floyd has really changed the world. He looked at me and said, no. What has changed the world is the Android phone. Is this phone. Because there have been more people that died the way George Floyd died. Even worse. But the world did not react the same. But the people who filmed that and showed the world with their Android phones, that's what changed the world. It's not the death of George Floyd. The same as the killings in Ambazonia have always been there since 1961, since the French brought their war to us, and since the world, the UN and the British gave our sovereignty to the French. They've been killing us. They've been trying to assimilate us, and like I always say, you cannot assimilate without destroying what is already there. But the phone started telling our story. They started telling the story about police pulling kids at the University of Boya, rubbing them in mud, beating students left and right, carrying a big stick, murdering people in Bamenda when they're peacefully marching. That told our story to the world, and the world looked at it and said, that's wrong. La Republique tried to stop that by cutting off internet. Obviously, they didn't win at that. And since then, every other thing they've tried, they've failed. Because we've been able to tell our story. We've been able to tell our story. Now, one of the stories that they're trying to tell now, and I will tell you why they're trying to tell that story, but let me read you what somebody forwarded to me. So this is a write-up by the Permanent Mission of the Republic of Cameroon to the United Nations. It says the Permanent Mission of the Republic of Cameroon to the United Nations presents its complement to the permanent and observer mission to the organization. And following the assassination on the night of 18th to 19th January 2023 of heads of branch of Elections Cameroon in Momo and Jakiri in the northwest region of Cameroon, subsequent to the watchword of terrorist leader Ayabacho Lucas asking to target the organizers and candidates for the next senatorial election scheduled for March 12, 2023, has the honor to bring to their attention, on behalf of the government of the Republic of Cameroon, its concerns, its strong indignation and protest against the freedom accorded to this terrorist leader in Norway, his country of residence, as well as other terrorists residing in friendly countries, to continue committing crimes and atrocities in Cameroon with complete impunity. These actors, entrepreneurs of war and destabilization, and their supporters lurking in the shadows, who pull the strings for their own interests and for unacknowledged ends, are still working to hinder the dynamics of peace resulting from the major national dialogue, whose recommendations, implementation, are actively pursued in the field, thanks to the actions of the government and other national actors, as well as the support of international partners. To consolidate these notable developments towards a lasting solution to the socio-political situation in the northwest and southwest regions, in accordance with the permanent will of the head of state, His Excellency Paul Biya, and that almost unanimously of Cameroonians and Republican institutions, the government of the Republic of Cameroon relies on the firm support of its bilateral and multilateral partners not to give in to this path of violence, blackmail, and escalation. It thanks them for their constant support and knows it can count on their continuous support in building a peaceful, united, and prosperous Cameroon, which is resolutely turned towards its emergence in the wake of the Africa we want, advocated by the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, by our National Development Strategy, and by the African Union Vision for 2063. In this regard, the Permanent Mission would like to note and appreciate the recent legal proceedings initiated by a friendly country, the United States of America, against its citizens involved in the financing of terrorism in the aforementioned regions, and expects major actions from its other partners to follow this path. Cameroon, therefore, demands that all those involved in the actions of destabilization and violence in its northwest and southwest regions be identified and punished, and that all their sources of funding be dried up. The Permanent Mission of the Republic of Cameroon to the United Nations avail itself of this opportunity to renew to the permanent and observer missions to the United Nations the assurance of its highest considerations. Okay, so that was written. It was written this January. I think it's a blindfold. It's a ploy to cover up Cho Ayaba's collaboration with La Republique du Cameroun so that he should not be rejected by the Ambazonian people as one of their members who is inside the struggle but working for La Republique du Cameroun. So they don't want you to reject Cho Ayaba as a member of our fighting forces. They want us to consider him as one of us so they can continue to use him in situations like in Canada, in sabotaging on the ground and things like that to undermine our liberation. That's basically what it is. You know, if they really meant for Cho Ayaba to be arrested, they would have written to the government of to the Norwegian government, to the Norwegian security authority to take care of him. Okay. So when they write it to the permanent mission, so when the letter comes from the permanent mission of Cameroon at the UN, written to other permanent members of the UN, they're not serious, because there's no action that takes place in that permanent. But they want this document out. They want it out so they can use it, and then they publish it so that we can see it. And like, oh, Cho Ayaba is in trouble. No, Cho Ayaba is in no trouble. It's in no trouble. He's their collaborator. And let me say something about, and you don't really have to see that he is their collaborator in his prominence in Canada. Let me just talk about Canada before I even go to some other areas to point out how he works for La Republique. Okay. Obviously, CDN is the Cameroon agent that has rallied all these people. Talked to Cho Ayaba in Europe. The pictures of Atem working with him. But when they went to Canada, I've already said he was very powerful in Canada. And by the time they went to Canada, they had already agreed on what will be decided in Canada. Okay. When they here's what my understanding is of what they agreed. You've heard of confidence building measures in Canada. Those confidence building measures included, just listen to this. They included bringing all the generals, all the Amba generals to Bamenda. Including bringing all the Amba generals to Bamenda. What do you think will happen to them if they came to Bamenda? Tell me what will happen if La Republique see all these people together under their control. Because when you're in Bamenda, you're under their control. They'll either kill all of them, or they arrest them and go to Kundengi, and that will be the end of. And they believe that will be the end of the struggle. So that's one of the confidence building measures that Cho Ayaba agreed that should happen. Cho Ayaba, Akwanka, Jomba Akuro, all those people who La Republique selected to go to Canada, they agreed on that. Another thing they agreed was that all the refugees will return. So when you bring all the generals to Bamenda, you return all the refugees. The struggle is ended, right? Because they're trying to accomplish what they call normalcy. What is that normalcy? A colonial status, where even the U.S. says that they are not treating us fairly, and they said this in 1968, and that if they don't fix it, we will be where we are today, and we are where the U.S. predicted that we'll be. And don't forget what Ambassador Peter Ballerin said in Yaoundé.
The government has committed summary executions. They are guilty of detaining people and not allowing them access to lawyers, to their families, even to visits from the Red Cross. They have been guilty of burning villages, of looting, and of general harassment of the population.
I'm sure you're asking, what does La Republique do in return as their own confidence building measure? what they offered was they would return their troops to the barracks, to the multiple other barracks that they have built in Ambazonia since the start of their war on Ambazonians. And these multiple barracks also meant that they've brought in more of their poorly trained, child molesting, killing soldiers to our land. Now, that does not only mean that their troops will still remain in our land, because if they had offered that we will pull our troops back to our own country across the Mongo and Matazam, we'll say, yeah, you know, that's something. But when we say they are troops, we don't just mean they are B. They are police, they are gendarmes, they are wadas, they are district officers. All of those are military people. They're all military. The place is ruled by the gun. There's no dialogue. They don't even have courts where you can go and lay your case. No, they don't. Everything is controlled by Paul Biya. And with the French, they usually say you are personally responsible. So Cameroon, Paul Biya is personally responsible for Cameroon to the French. And if he doesn't do his job, he's gone. You know, it was decided in 1944 in Libreville that they will pick the leaders who will be imposed in these Francophone countries who they refuse to give them independence. You know, this whole thing about decolonization started at the Atlantic Charter. And the word, I think it was self-government. The French said they will impose these leaders, and these leaders will earn their spurs by the people going to them for their needs, because that will be the only authority that will be in the place. And through that, they will earn their spurs and become the legitimate leaders who they then control. But with all of this, the only independence African colonies will have will be the independence of France. Not my words. Just go read the history. It's there, written. We've talked about the cooperation agreements on this channel. Go look for that tape, watch it. We made it easy. We read it for you. So all these killing machines, all these hungry, poorly paid troops that they have brought in the form of B, in the form of police, in the form of gendarmes, in the form of prison guards, custom officers. They're all in our territory, and if the only way La République can say yes, we'll be secured, is to pull all this across the Mongo, then we know that there's a confidence building situation there, and then we can start the dialogue. Is that what they offered? No. They will keep the troops in the barracks they have built, and who they can bring out at the snap of a finger. That's what Cho Ayaba, Akwanka, Jomba Akuro, what's the other gentleman's name? Yerima. That's why they all agreed. All organized and coached and well prepared by CDN. That's what happened in Canada. You know, there have been many people many Ambazonians who have earned their money, earned their power by riding on the backs of Ambazonians. By riding on the backs of Ambazonians. They offer themselves to be used by La Republique to placard our participation in their system. No, there's only one man who controls that system, is Paul Biya, and the rest are answerable to him. And when it comes to Anglophones or to Ambazonians, what they do is they give you position, but there's no power. The frontier actually says that these people have no problem paying you a lot of money doing nothing. He knows, because when he was the vice president, he had no portfolio. He did nothing. But all the money that they gave to him was just given. I have a tape by Dr. Monzo where he said when Paul Biya was the prime minister of Cameroon, he was next in line to get power in Cameroon. When that office came to Achidi Achu, they took out all the power and gave it to the different secretaries that surround the prime minister, and the prime minister had no power. And you know, they don't only play on us, they play on the international community also. You see, Dion Gute is there, they call him the prime minister, head of government. They always add that head of government there. You can tell when these people are lying, because they overdo the thing. And then you wonder, why are they overdoing this? He is the prime minister, head of government, when they know for a fact that he is not the head of government. But because they want everybody to believe that he's head of government, they always add that head of government there. And they wonder, when you think of prime minister, you should be thinking of a British prime minister, an Australian prime minister, a New Zealand prime minister. That's what they want you to think of. And so you see the Ngoles, the Atanganjis, the Ngutes, all of them, they have, including John Frundi, they all have their positions because they offer themselves to be used to play both Ambazonians and the international community. That, oh, they are not a colony. Look at them. Look at the prime minister, head of government. Look at the minister of territorial administration. I was listening to a tape by Michel Bienton. He said there were 87 Anglophones that were in the military that were not trusted. They liquidated them. So when you see these people traveling free, dancing all around, that's because they have been totally emasculated and they just use them for whatever purpose. And they have not a word to say. And that's why most of the time you see Ngole running his mouth in foreign medias, acting like he's a free man, but he's completely emasculated. Let him not do that job, and you see what will happen to him. So that's what La Republique was offering, and we had our people lined up. So this letter is a cover-up. It's a cover-up. It's a protection of Chuayaba, to make him look like, oh, he's a terrorist, but does not want harm to him. They don't want him to be picked up. They don't want anything bad happening to him because he has an important role to play for them. I'll tell you another thing where you know that Chuayaba is a Cameroon agent. You know, Mr. Ndangam used to, and I've told you this story before, Mr. Augustine Ndangam in Kasbambili taught us that you know a character by what they say, what they do, and what other people say about them. Okay? So, Chuayaba organizes an international press conference alerts the whole world to come and see that he, Choa Yaba, AGOFC, obviously ADF, that they are now forming an alliance with Biafra. Remember that in the last show, I told you that there were two organizations, there were two groupings that La Republique sees as people that can empower Ambazonia. One is Nigeria and then the diaspora. What a beautiful way to make Nigeria hate Ambazonia, to make Nigeria hate the Ambazonian War of Liberation, than form an alliance with Biafra. If you're going to form an alliance with Biafra, do you need to go and make a worldwide announcement? You see, the use of these worldwide announcements is to accomplish other goals other than what they tell you they are trying to accomplish. Okay? Obviously, there's no alliance that can be formed between Biafra and Ambazonia. One of the things you know about Biafra, the Igbo land itself now, is that all the other parts that joined to form Biafra, that has a boundary with Ambazonia, those parts rejected. They don't want to be part of Biafra anymore. And so if there was a Biafra thing, it would just be in the Igbo lands, and they have no boundary with Ambazonia. So this thing about Biafra is it's you don't go and it's like saying Abuja that ADF or AGOFC forms an alliance with Abuja. To do what? It's just talk. There can be no alliance, and that talk is to create enmity between Ambazonia and Nigeria. And yes, there's a price to pay, because we've heard audios on how the lives of refugees in Nigeria has become difficult.
Good morning, civil society, brothers and sisters. I want to send me this audio so for Ayabacho. This one was sent for us, so I don't move on because of the identity for the place where I did. Before they go, the guard there are people they can't pick me for Saturday. Mona thank me, Mr. Ayabacho, very much for what we don't do for the refugees. We don't make who they run, all the leaders that they run for Nigeria. Now the video that I send for now, where they don't talk Nigerian government now, be open. It be open, say they get for track we all for them. Any person, any leader. Me I run for security. I run for security. A whole flag for inside Nigeria. A whole Ambazonian flag for inside Nigeria. Now me this I run. I run for my dear life, leave my 6 years child and my husband. Ayabacho, thank you so much. I don't know who say you come out. Thank you. If you want to get alliance with that man, you forget him for back. If you get clean motive, you want think before you can do and why you know even think say we there for inside Nigeria, you know ever think of you. Papa, you come out go make alliance. Now you this one to suffer, they run up and down. Who don't stand for help me? How many bags of gari? How many bags of rice you don't send them for refugees? How many way you don't send them? You go tell me say your boys they did it. Your boys they did it. They be the key. They the key now. They be the key now. The same. The key now was same our boys. Thank you so much. How you don't destabilize these fights. What one blame you? People will carry their mouth them. Big mouth, the people talk nonsense and rubbish because they don't know how to suffer for this side. I don't leave my husband and my 6 years old child. Who will take care for them? Now me this I don't be at a run. Who don't stand for help me? Who don't stand for help me? Who don't stand? If you know, if you say I get man like homeboy, who don't stand for help me? Now me that don't be stranded, who stand for help me? I thank you so much. I send this audio for you. I thank you so much for the refugee that suffer so because of you.
Because of that pronouncement by Chiwayaba and his AGOFC and ADF. I was looking for a name to characterize them, but let's just call them by what they want to call themselves. Now, having said that, any other organization knowing this information and knowing that Cho Ayaba has gone out and announced this, and they still continue to collaborate with Cho Ayaba, I don't know what they're trying to accomplish. When CDN goes to bring Cho Ayaba in the struggle, if CDN really say that they are an Ambazonian organization, which they are not, if they wanted to say that, if they say that, they have no pretense of going to recruit somebody who has said they are forming an alliance with Nigeria, with Biafra. Any legitimate Ambazonian organization fighting for the liberation of Ambazonia ought to see Cho Ayaba and AGOFC for what they are. They are not in this struggle for us. They are there for themselves and in collaboration with the government of La Republique du Cameroun against Ambazonia. Now, there's another thing that this letter also talked about, which even Paul Biya himself has talked about. Somehow they have it in their mind that the United States is supporting them in their colonial occupation of Ambazonia. No, the United States is not. The United States has a one Cameroon policy. What does that mean? It simply means that for its own interests, for its both local and worldwide interests, it is more expedient for them to support the one Cameroon idea because it's supporting a French colony. There's no doubt that Cameroon is a French colony. And so the United States is not going to go against the French. Not at this time when there's a lot of world tension and the United States need all its Western partners together in order to fight challenges around the world. But America definitely has a one Cameroon policy, but they don't support what is going on down there. And that is now the job of Ambazonians in the United States to change that policy. For a very long time, America was aligned with apartheid. It took Americans to change that policy. And when you deal with America, you have to always separate their government from the Americans. So when Cameroon comes and writes that America is supporting them, it's just stupid. Because the cases that have been filed in the United States are cases that have to do with American law. And America has told Cameroon that America is a free country, and unless somebody commits a crime here, they will not go after them because of the wishes of a colonial state, the wishes of the locals who are collaborating with the colonizers of their own people. That is what Paul Biya has remained in power for 40 years and counting because he serves the French. Paul Biya did campaign when everybody was campaigning for independence. He campaigned to work for the French. I mean, that history is there. And Ganan has said very clearly, the people ruling Cameroon are the people who did not want independence for Cameroon. So nobody is fooled about who is ruling the place. Nobody is fooled. And that's why you see all their actions are against the people fighting for the humanity of the people in that territory. You know, I saw the video of this professor running in the bushes from his own government because he spoke the truth. You know, most countries these days, they are trying to empower their people so that their people can catch up with the rest of the rest of the progressive world. in Cameroon, if you are a excuse me, if you are a progressive force, you're either killed, exiled, or bribed to stay quiet. All Cameroon is doing is attempting to piggyback its way to legitimacy and find itself in places where it does not belong. Because in the final analysis, it's a bunch of sellouts that are working for foreign entities against its own interests and against the interests of its own people. It's a killing machine that is put there by enslavers and colonizers to be doing the work of enslavers and colonizers in the modern age, when they themselves cannot come and do the job. And nobody's hiding that. The French are not hiding that. Shame on you. I just think I come and, tell you about that publication by the Cameroon UN Permanent Group, writing to itself and addressing its own colleagues, who all of them have no power, do not cast a vote anywhere, but they want to publish it so that we see, so that they can use it as propaganda to do what? Our people already know that Chuayaba is not one of us. The people on the ground have said it many, many times that Chuayaba is not one of us. America saw it, and Chuayaba cannot come to the United States. He's a terrorist, but not against La Republique. He's a terrorist against Ambazonians. He and his collaborators, the people who fund him. When you fund Chuayaba, you are funding an enemy. Those of you who go out arguing for him, you're blind, because I really think that you believe that he's part of the people contributing to the struggle. He is not. He's not. He and his collaborators are not. That is why La Republique selected them to go to Canada and sit on the other side representing them. La Republique itself has come out and said what they wanted in Canada was the promotion of their so-called national dialogue. And that's why I call it National Dialogue 2.0. I said it before they even said it themselves. Because these things just add up. If your mind is focused on the struggle, you see these things clearly. You don't need anybody to come and tell you. I see some people go and say, show me evidence. Evidence of what? Can't you see? Can't you see? What other evidence do you want? Thanks for watching.